So as you said, you were 19. He was 21, I think. Is that right? Something
22.
22.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're both very young.
Yeah.
What was that like? Like, what was the marriage like? What did everybody come? Was it a big deal? Was everybody happy? Was everybody sad?
Oh,
for
yeah.
you?
The wedding
Yeah.
itself. Yeah. No, the wedding was great. It was a party.
I've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
You
Have
look
you?
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he looks very handsome, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it was good. Like, I remember, my mom did, like, she made all the desserts. I had all my little sisters serving, like, it was a lot of fun,
And so how did you bring up to him the fact that, well, obviously in dating you, he must have seen the plural marriage
Oh, he was all
lifestyle.
in.
Okay.
No, he was all in. He was a member of that church community as well. And it was a conversation that he and I had that we would continue this. I had a time during my teenage years that I was like, is this really, really what I want to do for sure? Like, I had to really consider it.
Right.
Because, when you're born into this family and you believe what your parents teach you just because that's all you know.
Right.
Right. And so, like, it was normal to me. I grew up with multiple moms, multiple siblings, and this was normal to do that.
Right.
Kody didn't grow up that way, but he, I guess, converted to it.
And was into it. It wasn't like you were forcing him to do anything.
Oh, no.
And you were not forcing him to marry you or manipulating him,
Nope.
as you may have said later on.
No.
Right. Okay. So how long was it great? I mean, was it great right after you got married? Like, was it fun? All of a sudden you get to be intimate, like.
Well, I think that it was. I think that, like any, I mean, you have to understand, we literally knew each other 6 months
Right.
at the time that we got married. Like 6 months. That's it. Like, we knew each other for 2 months when we got engaged. And then we were engaged for 4 months.
Right.
And I mean, we're young and we're in love and we did silly things and we quit our jobs if we wanted to travel and they didn't want to let us have time off, It's like kind of. You
didn't have to worry about where money was coming
right,
from.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but also there's like real life, you have your arguments and you figure it out and you work through them and move on, so.
Okay. So now I want to get to the point where I want to explain plural marriage or polygamy because
Right.
I think a lot of people really don't know. If they were asked, if I did a man on the street to people, they would have a lot of different answers. They would say, oh, yeah, it seems amazing. You can have threesomes in your home.
Yep. That's what a lot of people think.
Yeah. So,
and a lot of people do. And that's okay. That
Yeah.
just wasn't what our family structure
so you guys
was.
weren't having threesomes all over
No.
the place. Okay. I
Nope.
don't think so.
My famous quote was, I think it was from the first season, is we don't go weird.
Okay. Well, some people think that's the norm.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. That was just, it was what I said. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
no.
So how would you describe polygamy for people to understand it better?
So in our family structure, it was a husband, 4 wives. We all have different relationships as far as friendship relationships, sisterhood relationships, but each one of the wives only had a physical relationship with Kody.
Okay. Could the women have a physical relationship with each other if they desired?
That's not something that any of us were interested in.
Okay.
Or wanted, and that's not the norm in the church.
It's not.
That
Okay.
we came from.
So he's the man and he has individual relationships with the different women.
Correct.
And the relationships with the women are supposed to be what? Very supportive. I mean, and like sisters.
Yep. And that's kind of where the term sister wives come from, because it's like we act as sisters. We help raise each other's children, and we did that like a lot. Like
Right.
we never had to put our kids in daycare when they were all growing up.
Right.
Before Robin came along, it was just me and Janelle and Christine. And I would work part-time. Christine would work part-time. We'd flip-flop our schedules.
Right.
And then Janelle worked full-time. But that way it was either me or Janelle. That way it was either me or Christine that was home with the kids at all times.
Right. That was always something I always questioned, like where does all the money come from to support all these
We
people?
all
So
worked.
everyone works.
We all worked
Yeah.
and we all had to contribute.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you just manage your schedule so that you can be the babysitter or whatever and doing dinners or whatever.
Yep.
Now, technically, in all plural marriages, does each marriage have their own home, or in some homes do they all live together?
We've done it every single way.
Oh, you have?
Yep, we've lived all together. We've had separate homes.
Or separate
We've
bedrooms?
we've always had separate bedrooms.
Okay.
If we lived together, there was one time early on that we had a house that Janelle and Christine and I all lived in, but we all had our separate bedrooms. There was one time that I lived with Christine and Janelle had her own house, or I lived with Janelle and Christine had her own house, or whatever, you know. So we've done different things
Okay.
through the years.
And sorry for this ignorant question,
That's
but
okay.
I'm
okay.
so interested. So then with Kody, is it almost like in a divorce when you're like having a kid and it's 2-3-2? You know what I mean? Like he goes to your room for 2 nights, to Janelle's for 3 nights. Like, how does that work?
You know, every family is going to do something different.
Okay. What did you guys do?
I hate the word. I don't have to worry about it anymore, but the word we always used was a rotation.
Right.
You know? I mean, it's like he would spend the time with the wife like on a semi-fair basis. You know?
Okay.
You know, like if it was a birthday or an anniversary or something like that, or a kid's, you know, birthday, he always made sure he was there in that home to celebrate, you know, I mean, we'd all celebrate together, but he always, you know, was there.
Right. So. And when you guys had different homes, did he also have his own separate home, or he would just go between the different homes?
He always wanted to.
Okay.
I think he probably wished that he did half the time.
So he was the only one without his own home. He would just go between the homes. And then again, just like for the technical aspect, he might go to your house for 2 days because you knew that Tuesday to Thursday he was with you, or did it always just switch?
Oh, I never knew.
Okay.
Sometimes I knew. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes the morning of, he'd be like, "Oh, hey, I'm coming over. Let's go to dinner."
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And were there date nights? Is that how it worked?
Yeah.
Or he's just sitting on the couch watching?
No, we'd have date nights and
So interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now tell us what it was like when he first started courting the other sister wives. Like, is the courting process uncomfortable for you?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As the wife who watched every single one of them come in, this is so weird because it's like so last year or last decade for me, because I'm not even in the family anymore. But so when each of them came in the family, like there was definitely emotions. You know, it's like, wait a second, there's this man that I love and care about, and he's showing affection to somebody else.
Right.
And I'm like, wait a second, am I as important?
Right.
You know, so there's definitely those feelings.
How could you
emotions.
not think that? Yeah.
Right. Well, I thought that I was bad.
Right.
I thought that I was bad for feeling those things.
But were there any conversations that you guys would have about boundaries
there was lots of conversations. Lots of conversations happened. Yeah.
Okay. And were some of those conversations like, I still love you, but the agreement was I was going to bring in another wife? Would he make sure, was part of the agreement that you had to like the other women, or that wasn't up to you?
It always worked out better if I did like them.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, if I didn't like them, it would have been really bad.
Did he ever bring home someone to court that you guys totally ran into the mountains?
Yeah, Christine likes to tell a story about a time that she's very proud of, about how she kind of ran a couple of people off.
Oh,
It's
tell
fine.
me one.
No, it's fine. It just, you know, when somebody's not right for a family and it just shows, then it's okay for them to not continue being around.
Well, of course. I mean, it would change the dynamic completely.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's almost like a version of The Bachelor, kind of. You know, like the girls end up hating each other or really liking each other, and you know who you want to have around.
Yeah.
And I think as long as each person has boundaries to not, you know, be terrible to the other women or respectful of their relationship with the man, but not throw it in their faces, you would think that it would work.
Yeah,
a lot better.
And I think that that's something, you know, especially in the early years, you know, we had to navigate the emotions and figure out how it was all going to work.
Yeah.
Logistically, just being in the same home, if that was the case, or just the emotions. It's like, well, does he sit on the couch and hold somebody's hand in front of the
Oh,
other
right.
person,
Yeah.
or are we going to have emotions about that? So it was a lot of discussion on how we're going to handle those things.
Right. And so you guys got married, and then it was pretty soon after, within a couple of years, right? That all of a sudden there were some women's. And is it called getting spiritually married? Because he can only technically be married to one person at a time, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So even in polygamous, you cannot marry more than one person in the United States. That's like not
No.
legal. Okay.
No.